The same heat weapon was used in 2017 in Santa Rosa. Look, the houses are completely destroyed, but many trees are undamaged. Supposedly, there was a forest fire in Santa Rosa. How can it be that the trees survived a forest fire, but the houses were completely destroyed? Because it was not a forest fire. It was used a heat weapon unknown to the public. The same weapon was used 1 year later in Malibu. And here it is even clearer to see. Here we see the house of the German entertainer Thomas Gottschalk, which was allegedly destroyed by a forest fire. How can it be that the trees around the house survived, but the house have been completely destroyed? Because it was not a forest fire. In order to really believe that an atomic bomb will be fired on Seattle, the media have been subliminally told for many years that an atomic bomb attack is taking place in Seattle. As a reminder, we are intended to believe that a Russian nuclear submarine will launch an atomic missile on Seattle, whereupon thousands of people will die. For the predictive programming, 4 messages are inserted in our heads. These 4 messages are very important, and I will keep reminding them throughout the video. Nuclear or nuclear missile and the resulting atomic explosion. I write nuclear and nuclear missile apart because that's by far the most important message, and both words are often alone. All other messages that follow must always relate to nuclear or nuclear missile. In that way, the predictive programming take effect. The submarine.
Now Simpson, because of your many years as a nuclear technician, we're putting you on a nuclear sub.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Whatever.
Nuclear.
Russia, formerly Soviets, are the attackers. If it comes to an artificial attack in Seattle, then there must be a scapegoat. In my estimation, with a probability of 75%, the Russians are the attackers, because this is most often hinted. The other countries together, I only give 25%. Maybe this time it will be again the evil terrorists.
The evil terrorist.
And the 4th message is Seattle. Seattle is located in the state of Washington. I repeat it again, because it is very important. Predictive programming only makes sense if these 3 messages relate to the most important message, namely nuclear or nuclear missile. Predictive programming is taking place all over the world, and everyone should believe that an atomic bomb is being used. Let me show you an impressive example from the Russian news in which all 4 messages occur. The video is with English subtitles. First, I play the scene and then tell you something about it.
И Джим Крик в штате Вашингтон. Пункт управления ядерными силами. Если мы, ничего не нарушая и никого не беспокоя, размещаем просто в океанах наши подлодки с пусковыми установками ракет «Циркон».
Jim Creek Naval Radio Station is a United States Navy very low frequency radio transmitter facility at Jim Creek near Oso, Washington. Here it is important that Washington was mentioned. A little later, the newscaster says hosting a nuclear command and control center. The newscaster has just said Washington, and in the next sentence he mentions the word nuclear. Now we have already been manipulated, as Washington has been linked to nuclear. That may seem like a coincidence now. However, I will show you many strange examples throughout the video in which Seattle or Washington is repeatedly associated with nuclear. In the news with the Russian submarine, an attack on the USA was suggested.
И никого не беспокоя, размещаем просто в океанах наши подлодки с пусковыми установками ракет «Циркон».
In addition, 40 Zircon missiles were mentioned. the word missile was used. At this point, it is important to know what the difference between consciousness and subconsciousness is. Consciousness can in many cases only remember a few details for a few days. Let me give you an example. Do you still remember what came in the news 7 days ago? Probably not. But the few information you can aware of can be assigned and filtered. Conversely, the subconsciousness acts. Our subconsciousness can save a lot of information forever. However, these information are in a kind of snooze mode. They can neither be filtered nor assigned. I watched the trailer of 2 submarine movies and have discovered something that's absolutely amazing. The first trailer is from the submarine movie The Hunt for Red October. On the cover, we also see a cute helicopter. For your information, the helicopter is a code that is often associated with the event in Seattle. Here is the excerpt from the trailer The Hunt for Red October.
This thing could park a couple of hundred warheads off Washington and New York, and no one would know anything about it till it was all over.
He said this thing could park a couple of hundred warheads off Washington in New York, and no one would know anything about it. Actually, Washington DC was meant in the video, but that doesn't matter. It is important that the words Washington and warheads are related. He mentioned warheads and Washington. Our subconsciousness can store the word Washington forever, but opposed to consciousness, it cannot filter the information. We also saw the Masonic checkerboard pattern in the background. Let's go to another submarine movie, K-19, The Widowmaker. Here too, I show you a part of the trailer. Listen carefully.
The Americans have forward deployed at George Washington.
George Washington is mentioned. Here it is the name of the submarine. George Washington. Even that presidents are being abused for predictive programming. Do you understand? They try hard to get the message Washington inside us. But predictive programming only works when it comes up with another word. What word is Washington intended to be associated with? I play the video.
Class submarine.
Oh, here we can also see a Masonic checkerboard pattern. So we are getting closer, but there is still something missing. I miss a word.
With Polaris nuclear missiles.
And again, nuclear missile. This word occurs once again with Washington in appearance. That's no coincidence. Here's a scheme. Once again, our subconsciousness cannot filter. It stores Washington, a nuclear missile, forever. Whoever has watched the movies has been manipulated. It is impossible not to be manipulated, because we cannot control our subconsciousness and it stores all the information forever. By the way, Red October is a movie based on a novel by Tom Clancy. Look at the cover of the book. There is subconsciously hinted an attack by a Russian submarine. Besides, Tom Clancy has written many more books with a helicopter on the cover. The movie, The Sum of All Fears, is also based on a book by Tom Clancy. This movie not only contains many clues, such as the Zeppelin and the football stadium. Due to recurring patterns, there is a high probability that the attack will happen during a football game. On November the 3rd, 2019, the Seattle Seahawks play against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now it gets really scary. We see 2 reporters in the background reporting a football game. Shortly afterwards, the explosion follows. During the blast, we see a helicopter, another clue to the Seattle attack. And at the very end, we see a nice atomic cloud. Predictive programming again. The next scene is about a megaquake that put 7 million people in danger. Look down on the zipper to the appearing word.
5 is gone. That's Seattle, Tacoma, Portland and Olympia, Salem and Eugene, wiped out altogether about 7 million people. That's not including tourists. So think of summertime. The New Yorker reports that FEMA calculations indicate The disaster will damage or destroy about 1 million buildings, including 3,000 schools and 1/3 of all fire stations. And perhaps the worst part of all of this,
First he mentions that 7 million